hit like and subscribe. You're watching the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel.
Good morning. Good morning. Okay, we are here. Sorry. Egaro, I'm so glad that you all have returned to Ascending. I am your host, April R. Silver. I'm so happy to be back here. Like I always say, if it's Saturday morning and you're watching live, then it's 11 a.m. and you are watching Ascending. I want to thank you for returning. I want to give you a moment to come into the chats. We will have an opportunity to, I will go into the chats toward the end, but tell us where you're coming from. We know that people watch from all over the globe. We're really excited about that, but check in. Tell your people to come watch because we have an amazing show. We actually have two guests today. We have Stacy Billups, who is a visual artist and social worker. We'll bring her to the stage in a little bit. We also have a nice new segment toward the end called Pin It, where we have certain announcements, special community announcements. And for this one, we're going to have Tyrone Burkette talking about some amazing stuff that he has coming up later on this month, the month of April. So this show really is about, as some of you might know, the power of Black art and Black joy. That's the fundamental thing, the power of Black art and Black joy, but it's the power of Black art and Black joy in the hour of chaos. So shout out to all of my I'm sorry, I just got a notice on my computer that the battery is low. But we have PE fans who can definitely relate to that particular thing. Y'all, I'm gonna pause for a moment because what I don't want to have happen, and I know my producers are gonna scream on me in 2 seconds. What I don't want to have happen is the power go out, and I promise you, 3 minutes ago I was on 100%. And now my screen just dimmed because it was like, hey, where's your power? So I don't know what the hell happened. So let me do this real thing. I've become the queen of not crashing out when glitches happen. So let me. Okay. Uh, that was the most awkward ever. But this is live. This is what happens live. I've seen worse things happen live. So I will know that the power source here is needs to be dealt with. But my point is, Black art and Black joy in the hour of chaos is what we're talking about today with Stacy Bilips, and toward the end we're going to do Tyrone Burquette at the end. But I want to definitely, before we get in, want to thank everybody who's the night schoolers. Y'all know I was on night school, a couple of nights ago. That was amazing. Your girl and Marc Lamont Hill, we talked for like an hour and a half on night school. So thank you for everybody who was there, who is now here. Thank you to my team. So we're going to jump into the segment that I love, or the shout out, more so, I should say, is where I share with you, the writer and editor and wordsmith that I am, my love of books and literature. And so today, no, am I doing this side? Yeah. If y'all know this book, The Prophet, if y'all familiar with this work, this masterpiece by Khalil Gibran, I only try to show and big up books that I've read, right? I have hundreds and hundreds of books in my library, but every week we give a shout out to people who, or authors, writers who are connected to the topic, but I just think the world should know. So if you know The Prophet, this is one of the many, right? And this is a hardback. I don't know how long ago I got this. It's all crooked. Okay, there we go. So I think you can see it a little bit better now. But my guys will put it in the chat. But this is a classic book, and I chose it for this topic because for those who are considering what it means to be creative, what it means to be an artist, what it means to be humane in this world, what it means to ground oneself and think larger about humanity, right? This Lebanese poet um, did a masterful job with this masterpiece that was written in 1923. Yeah, published in 1923. I don't know when it was written, but it was published in 1923. Um, Gabran was born in the late 1800s, but it's masterful. And I recommend, if you're not familiar with it, definitely check it out. If you are familiar with it, you might find some medicine. And this approach to humanity, this very poetic entree into what it means to be human and to have relationships, and different endeavors in life are addressed here. So that's for you to definitely check out. So on that note, what I want to do is bring up our featured guest. I would like us to welcome to the stage, to the room, Stacy Billups.
Hi, April.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I think that was a beautiful recommendation for a book because I'm familiar with it myself. And
Yes.
while I can't quote anything from it off the top of my head, I know that there's some powerful understandings about relationships and love and things. I think people that aren't even aware that they might be familiar with that author because there's a
Yes.
lot of famous quotes that come from that particular book.
Absolutely. And I thought it was really fitting with you because you, as a visual artist, and as a social worker,
Yes.
and someone who wraps their arms around art and creativity and healing,
Yes.
I was like, whoa. And I'll tell you, I wasn't as prepared as I wanted to be this morning, clearly, because the power almost went out. But I had to
Real
figure
life
out,
stuff.
like, literally like 4 minutes ago. I was like, what book? What book
Yeah.
from Stacy? I was trying to see.
I mean, I'm almost floored that you chose that book because it has been a book that I've had gone, in my life and gone back to and read different excerpts over the years. So it's really interesting that you chose that book. When I
Well,
saw it, I was like, wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
that's how we vibe, right? That's how
Yes.
we vibe. You and I
Yes.
personally, one-on-one.
Yes.
Because I, like, literally 4 minutes ago, I ran to the back to my library and I was like, which one? Which one? I was trying to see if I had a book by how am I pronouncing it correctly? Romare
Yeah.
Bearden? Am I
Yes.
pronouncing
Mm-hmm.
the first name? I
Yeah.
always see it, but I don't hear it. I was like, do I have like and I do have a
Mm-hmm.
compilation of his works because I know that's your idol as a visual artist.
Yeah.
So
He's
let's jump in.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's synergy. There's you can see the influence, I should say. You can see the
Yeah.
influence. But I want to introduce you even more deeply, right? As a visual artist or artist just overall,
Yeah.
as a social worker, you have a particular interest, Stacy, in reflecting Black joy,
Yes.
reflecting just the calmer, and we're going to show some of your artwork later.
Yeah.
But overall, this is a setup for when people see some of the artwork, and we'll direct people to your website. But there's a approach that you have in terms of like a snapshot of life or living or relaxing or just chilling, basically. And you
Yeah.
mostly focus on featuring Black women, not exclusively, but mostly.
Right.
So this approach to serenity and how you capture it is what made me think of the prophet,
Yeah.
right? Because that book is a meditative practice,
Yeah.
right? Like you're not reading that book and getting all of its essence if you're doing two and three things at one time. That is a
Absolutely.
sit still book,
Yeah.
contemplate the world and yourself. So tell us about your particular approach to creating your art.
Yeah. I think that's a perfect question and lead to how I think about art. Um I think I use it as my meditative practice. I use it to um discover more about myself, but also as a social worker, and as a human being, I've just been, constantly dealing with other people and exposed to people's trauma, had personal traumas myself. And I think when I go into the studio, or I'm painting, or even if I'm just sitting at my desk and I'm creating art in a meditative way, it puts me in what I call like a flow state. And I'm able to, let go of some of that. And it feeds me in a way that I don't think any other practice ever did before I started to, really tap into my creative side in my, my artwork.
You mentioned as a social worker, sorry, y'all, I gotta say it, but where did you get your master's of social work? I just
At Howard University, School of Social Work.
School of Social Work, right?
That's right. That's right. It
People
was
who
a
watch
beautiful experience. I also worked at Howard Hospital for a little while. And I actually started grad school when I was working as a caseworker at Howard Hospital. So the connection, my husband was a Howard, alumni. He's a Howard alumni as well. My mother-in-law worked at Howard Hospital.
Wow.
My brother-in-law went to Howard. So it's like, we were well connected. Yeah.
And I didn't know you at Howard, just for the record. Right.
Yeah.
This is a Howard connection.
Yeah. But I love that about Howard, because it's like old friends. Yes.
It's old friends, yeah. But now you talk about, and I didn't know you worked at Howard Hospital either, but you talked about the fact that you're engaging, right? As a social worker, you're dealing with people's pain, you're dealing with people's, trying to, evolve, in their own personal way. So we can make some assumptions about you and your character and what's important to you because of the field that you chose as a social worker. But let's go back a little bit. And you said a moment ago, you have some of your own trauma that, that you've been confronted with. So I want, because that's not a secret. I'm not, speaking out of turn.
No, it's part of my journey. I think, in another lifetime, I might have studied art, right? Like I'm a self-taught artist. And I went to college, but I was very committed to, having a degree in social work because I was interested in social work. But let's be real, I was drawn to social work as a part of my journey of healing. When I was much younger, maybe around 7th grade or so, my father got really sick, passed away from cancer. It was very sudden, very quick. My mom never really recovered from that situation. So my family was really thrown into chaos for a number of years. And, God is good. We landed mostly in a good space. I became adopted by one of my best friends' mom, myself and my sister. And we landed on our feet, but it took many, many years. And I even feel like as I have been an adult, part of this art journey is about healing from some of that trauma, right? Because when you lose your parent, that's one thing from a death. But then when you lose the other parent because of mental health issues, it's a heavy load, right? And like I work with kids that are the same age I was when that was happening. And I think that's when it started to click for me how traumatic that experience had been, right? And how much I needed to heal from that. Because when I work with children who are 12, 13, 11 years old, and they're going through heavy, because the world is very chaotic right now, more and more kids are experiencing the type of pain that I was going through. When I see them at that age, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so impactful for their lives. But it took me a long time to recognize, well, that's you. That was you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, but it did guide me on this path towards healing myself, but also helping people along the way, right? Like being the kind of social worker that I would have wanted in my life at that time. Right. That's my guiding light right now. Right. So whenever I work with kids, I'm always like, yeah, I wish somebody would have sat down and talked to me or shown me some art tools that would have helped me heal. Right. Or help me cope with my current trauma. And so that's really what motivates me every time I, engage with people.
I think that's really powerful. I am curious though, how did you come to art as opposed to, for example, dance or braiding
Yeah.
hair or
I can't
sports?
dance. No, my God. Well, see, that's the interconnection of my art, passion for art and passion for social work. I've always been an artist. I've always been drawn to art. And like I said earlier, had these personal tragedies or dynamics of my family, had they not happened, I might have gone to school for art. I might have, I was an artistic kid. I was drawing, I was writing, I was painting, I was always creating as a child. And then, when things started to happen in my family, I kind of pushed pause on that for a long time. But whenever I reflect, I always think, oh, it was always there. It was, this creative energy. Like I was always making something. And those were the ways, I was always like maybe doing somebody's makeup or doing like some kind of thing on clothing. Creativity was always coming out of me. I just didn't land on painting until much later in life, in my 40s. But
Oh, that is much later.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think I had the confidence to paint in the way that I can paint now. I thought that was
Mm,
for someone who was professionally trained or had gone to school for art. So I never saw myself as an artist until I started to work on my art. And,
mhm.
as I started to tap into it and gain more confidence, you know, painting is like learning how to write, or creating art
Yeah.
is learning how to write in language, right?
Yeah.
With practice you get better.
Right.
Right? And
Right.
so yeah.
But Stacy, it's really interesting, and I want my producers to pull up one of the comments in just a second, not right now.
Okay.
But what's really interesting, and I would have never thought there was really a parallel, but you said you didn't see yourself as an artist, or you didn't have the confidence as a visual artist until you said your 40s or so later in life.
Yeah.
When you said that, I heard myself tell the story that I always tell in my field, right? It's public relations. And
Yeah.
when I first started, I was like, I am not a publicist. Do not call me a publicist. I don't know what you call me, but Terry Williams is a publicist. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? The
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
people, those are publicists. I'm just learning whatever. And it took me a while to sit in that seat confidently. Um,
Yes.
I still don't like the term. I prefer something else, but I didn't know that for a field that is so different. Our fields are different. Yours is creative, mine is more, marketing, but we have that same thing, that lack of confidence that held us back,
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
Well, yeah, and also it's all creativity to me. And that, I
Yes.
think, one of the things that I've learned on this second part of my journey is really that everyone has creativity within them, and that we just need to tap into it in our own way and then own that, right? And therefore we all are artists in our own way, right?
Yeah.
Anyone can be an artist. And I think I had
But
to take
but
that sort of like iconic thing away from it.
let me ask you this. This is really good. I love, like, we're discovering this. We didn't plan this or anything like that. I
Yeah,
just, I'm
but we
Stacy
have
Billups.
that with us.
But wait, I want to get your opinion, because I have come to believe that not everybody is an artist. I do believe that everybody's creative, but
Hmm.
what do you think about the idea that in order to make the transition from being creative to artistry to becoming an artist, there's a ocean full of things that one, like immersion and discipline and sacrifice and failure and pushing through past the failure, all those different kinds of things where things get sharpened and it becomes more intuitive, and you don't have to, you can pivot because you have disciplined yourself, you have studied the craft, you have immersed yourself, and you're married to it. And I
Yeah.
think that's something, that's the thing or the things that
Hmm.
separate the creative person from the artist person. What do you think?
Okay, I agree with you on some level, but I
Mhm.
also think I like to look at it almost like maybe like a spectrum, or
Mm,
like levels of artistry.
nice. I
Yes,
like that.
but I think when I say everyone is an artist or can be an artist, I think what holds a lot of people back from experimenting and tapping into their creativity is that they put these like labels on things, and it kind of boxes us
Nice.
in.
Yeah.
And if you ask a child that was around 5 or 6, are you an artist? They might say yes, just because they made a painting that day in
Yes.
school.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, I'm an artist today, right? And it's like,
Right. Right.
I just want us to tap into those things and allow those labels to fall away a little bit.
Nice.
But there is a certain level of professionalism, right? Because I've also been on the journey of not only becoming an artist as a way of expressing myself and dealing with my own trauma and things of that nature, but I've also learned how to become a professional artist, right?
Right.
And that is different. Um,
Right.
and it takes all of those things that you just, named. It takes those things and more. And it's also given me, built my confidence around other areas in my life. Like I would never describe myself, I would describe myself as a social worker, a connector of people, a builder in that way, a creative person, a visual artist. But I would have never described myself as a businesswoman.
Right.
But you cannot be a professional artist if you don't know how to run a business.
I love it.
That is a part of the journey that I've been on as well, is building confidence around in areas that I honestly separated myself. Like I thought that was not me. So,
I think what you tapped into, and I appreciate this conversation because it's going to make me edit my position, right? This is why I asked you gently, is the spectrum, right? And I do
mhm.
agree with you. And another book, I'll do it next week, but The Artist's Way by
Oh,
uh, The Artist's Way, Julia Cameron. I think it's her last. Yeah.
listen, this is my
Open my.
Bible right here. I
Yo,
mean, it's
that
not
was
my
like,
Bible, but there are only a few books that I return to
that one,
constantly.
the
I
artist.
tap into that one so
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
But here's the thing, I'm gonna ask my producers to put that, the artist way, to put that in the chat for people to see. But my point is, this conversation, as organic as it is helping me refine this position or this question around everybody's creative, but not everybody's an artist. So you just entered into the thing that said, but there's a spectrum, and there's some truth, but let's do away with the labels. I want to shout out Mo Beasley because I know he's in the chat, and we had a conversation, and I was getting in his ass, right? Because he's a writer, right? And he hasn't really written in a very, very long time. And so and I'm an editor, right? I'm an editor, but we're friends in such a way that he comes to me to edit his work, right?
Yeah.
And I see things intuitively, despite all of the mistakes I make. I can see where some things could be said better or whatever. And he and I have that relationship. I don't do that unsolicited.
Yeah.
So he started yelling at me because he didn't want to hear me be an editor. He just wanted me to recognize the fact, and yes, Mo, I'm putting our business out in the street, but he just wanted me to recognize the fact that he had written, and it was a Facebook post, and it had a lot of engagement. Everybody was checking in because he had some, I guess, in relationship to this topic about the chaos in the world, he was verbally attacked by some Trumpsters there in Florida. And this is all on his
Mhm.
Facebook page.
Mhm.
So I knew he was a writer. I know he's an amazing storyteller, but we have such a friendship that I was talking about the typos. And then he just lashed out. I don't want to hear that because that's the thing that makes me not right and blah, blah, blah. So I say that to say, to your point, Stacy, about dropping the labels and getting rid of the things that don't help us evolve. So
Yeah.
on that note, let's shift, guys, Drake or Kevin, if we can pull up that question I think someone had about their son who, but yes, Black men investing. My son went through chemo as a child, and art therapy was a lifeline. It helped him cope. I'm
Yeah.
curious, why do you think art has a healing power? Really excellent question. Thank you. Stacy, that's
Yeah.
for you.
I think it has a healing power. I think we're still learning about how much healing power art has and why it's so healing for the brain and the body. So I don't want to, go into like research about it, but I know that one of the things that is happening now is that they're starting to understand the human being as holistic more so than ever before. So even in mental health, there's not this big disconnect from the mind and the body like there used to be, even when I first started studying social work. And art therapy now is its own, profession. People go to school and they study many years for it. And a lot of art therapists do work in hospital settings. And the reason for it is because of the, ability for art to sort of calm the mind. You need the mind to be calm so the body can heal. Right. And so I think that is one of the reasons why. And I don't want to confuse people. I don't do art therapy. I'm not an art therapist. I'm a social worker who uses art as a tool in a lot of the work that I do with families and children. And a lot of, I think, social workers and clinicians are tapping in to using creative tools like dance, like spoken word, like written, creative writing, improv. A lot of these creative arts are being intertwined into, you know, uh, the practice of different clinicians because we know how healing they are. And we know that also culturally, people respond to that differently than just going to traditional westernized talk therapy. So I think there's this other piece of it that we don't talk about as much, is that people, Black people in particular, don't always love therapy, but we love the arts, right? And so when you can tap into something that feels relatable, you can do a lot of expression and a lot of work with a client without necessarily words being spoken,
That,
so
that's
yeah,
a real thing. And there are other cultures in our lineage, right?
yeah,
Specifically talking about African culture,
yeah,
where the way to heal or reconcile or to remedy, it's a holistic practice, like you said, but a lot of it is not about talking. It's not
that's right.
about going into a sterile environment, laying on a couch, or even going into a space and every chair is in a circle. Like whatever it is, it's not that. It is
Yes,
dance, it is
yep,
the drum, it is
yep,
music, it is communing with family members. Like that is the
absolutely.
route to healing. That is the route to reconciliation.
Yeah, and
And
I
there,
think it's finally being recognized as
yeah,
a true healing, like, practice, right? That it's not just, oh, in, something that we like to do for recreation or we like to do,
right.
but it's an actual practice. And I think we're finally starting to put those things together in the mental
And I
health field. Mhm.
and it's important because there are some peoples all over the world that already knew that. And they
Yeah,
don't
we're
do the
catching up. Yeah,
compartmentalization of human beings, right? It's
yeah,
all connected. It's all connected. And it but not just with the creative physical expression, be it dance or music or drumming or whatever, but it's also going to the water, going to the riverbank, going to the mountains. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Being in the rain, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Those things, connecting with nature is what I'm trying to say. So there
yeah.
are other cultures besides Western cultures that know that intuitively.
Yeah, and I think if the viewers were to look at my artwork, they would see a lot of work that is connected, that has those type of themes to it, particularly the water, right? I
Yeah,
do
you do a
have
lot.
a lot of paintings and work that's around the beach and the ocean, the seaside, because for me personally, that's a place that I go outside of my studio. It's one of the, my favorite place in the world to be is near the ocean, right? And
Can I just
that
say,
could, yeah,
yeah, because of the many pictures, because we're coming to a close just a little bit. I
okay.
cannot believe we've been talking. It
Oh, yeah.
doesn't feel that we've been talking for the whole segment, but of the many images, rather, paintings, that I wanted to pull for this segment, I didn't pull one with water or by the beach. I just pulled
Yeah,
three. I could have
yeah,
pulled a whole bunch, but we're gonna get into a minute, like the Stacy Billups piece that I own.
yeah.
But I just wanted to, I wanted this struck me. I don't know why. I think it's the look on the woman's face that just captivated me. I think this one is called Flowers in the Garden. I think
It's
that's
Flowers in the Garden. It's
yeah.
a watercolor that I did back in 2019.
I love
Um,
that one.
yeah, I'm always trying to, you know, focus on the expression and especially with the eyes. So that's
Yes,
one of the things that I'm kind of known for with my work. People say they always connect with the expression on the subject's face. And some
yeah,
of the subjects are, people I know, and sometimes like this person isn't a person I knew, Flowers in the Garden. That was just someone I kind of created in my imagination.
right. No,
This
it's good,
painting is my sister.
and it's
Um,
called Sister.
it's
It's
called
called
Sister.
Sister. Yes,
I could have even called it even like Sister Friend, because this was my sister who's my best friend. And it's funny you said you thought you weren't sure for a moment if it was me. We look similar.
hmm
We are very, very close. And she's one of the people I knew from when I was very young and going through a lot of trauma. She and I got very close, and then I became sisters with her. So
I love it. I
so
love it.
I
Let's go
painted
to the
her.
next one. The next one I forget. Desert. What is
Yeah,
this?
the desert flower. This is one
Yeah.
of my most recent. This is special to me because not the image was kind of like a combination of something I referenced from the internet, but also like just women. Like I wanted the face to be sort of like a mix of different women I know. But
hmm
the most important part of this piece is the growth, like the I am now able to paint much larger. So this
Mm.
one is like a 48 by 60. So it's one of my larger paintings, and I'm really happy with that. And, just even doing more work with like the clothing and the details. So
It's
I'm always
beautiful.
trying to level up.
No, it's beautiful, and you have so
Thank
many
you.
paintings of Black women by the beach.
Yes.
That I really struggled because I was like, the whole episode can be scrolling through. But let's put up your website because people can see your work
Yeah.
if they go to your website that we're going to put on the screen in just a moment.
Okay.
And this is the part where I'm super excited because am I no this one this right here this
Yep.
painting. Yo, I saw this.
Purple.
It's called Purple.
Yep.
And I saw this on Instagram. I guess I was scrolling. I don't I'm sure it was Drake. Shout out to Leah. The two of them, or one of them, or the two of them told me about you years
Yes.
ago.
Yep.
And I was scrolling on your page and I was not able to take my eyes off of purple. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because that's my favorite color. Anybody
Yes.
that knows my agency knows that purple is our thing. I saw that and I don't know what it is about it, but it's Black women like all together. It just everything about
Yeah.
it to me. And
I
it's a
I've
minute,
I
but
am so happy you got that painting.
what?
I love that I can still see it. I
Yes.
mean, it was
Every
definitely
time
one of
I'm in
my favorite.
Brooklyn.
Yeah. And it's different for me. It's not something I typically always focus on like one part of the face or anything, but I was so drawn to these lips and on this face, and I was like, let me just focus on the lips and not the whole face. And the way that I was able to kind of capture that energy, I was really happy with it, and so happy it found a beautiful home. That's also the thing.
I
You get so attached to your work, you just want it to be in a place where you know it will be fully appreciated. So
I want people to look at that because it took me a minute. I was like, yo, please don't sell it. Please, please
no,
don't
you're
sell it.
so good. I really appreciate all your support and love for the artwork. Yeah.
It was a visceral response when I
Yeah.
saw it. I was like, I gotta have it. And
That's all
now
you could hope for as an artist, really.
yeah, no, I'm
Mm.
serious. People who know me know that I'm passionate about what I love. You know what I mean? And so that one, so now that's just the first, Stacy.
Yeah.
I have some other pieces of yours that I'm gonna purchase as well, but that's how, and it's hard to put in words when you have this visceral response, right? To
Yes.
something that makes you feel comfortable, that when I see that, I think of the power of Black women. I think of the power of sexiness and that we're dope. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
makes me tap into my own, like we spend so much time beating ourselves up. We don't like how we look, and is there
Yeah.
lipstick on my teeth or whatever? But it's something about, like you said, the power of art, particularly the themes that you choose, Black
Yeah.
women. That
And I
is.
wanted to highlight us. Like, I
Mhm.
want us to feel all of those things, sexy and sensual and seen and reflective. And, I know these things exist. That's the side of Blackness I know. And I feel like there's no reason to only focus on things that are, we know are going to continue to exist for us, and we have a struggle in a lot of areas. But also at the same time, there's this beauty and this joyfulness about us that I just felt like it's something I want to focus on. It's inspiring to me. And yeah.
No, I think you are contributing to that in a powerful way, and just the idea that despite the chaos, right, despite the fuckery, despite all of the ways that we should be fighting, against this administration, and it's just so weird and ironic that we're fighting those of us who are engaged or organized or freedom fighters or social justice activists, um, like we're fighting to get back to where we were before Trump. That's not the fight. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But joy, our joy in our ability to balance and our ability to still love one another, right? And to be honest and to have a bold love. That's a form of resistance. It is a form, not the only, but it is a form of resistance to be able to still embrace love. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
And to love yourself enough to know when you need to take a break, when you need the rest. It is
Yeah.
so hard to rest, especially for Black women, right? And we know this. And so I think for me, that's really been a journey to even understand how difficult it is for me to feel like I can take a break. That's why I think I focus on, these reflective paintings, sometimes connecting with other women, being at the beach, being really fully at rest. To me is so important because we need to just see ourselves being able to do that and give ourselves permission to like honor that in in
It's
in
it's
uh,
a
every form.
it's a reoccurring theme on
Yes.
this show. I mean, not just this show, of course, but
Yeah.
it's a reoccurring theme that I'm trying to uplift. Sonia Sanchez talked about it in the episode we did with her. Marc
I
and I
love
talked
her.
about it on Night School.
Yeah.
And we're hard headed, Stacey. Many of us are hard headed because I'll never forget when Marc was laid up in the hospital. It made the news. What was that? A year or two ago,
Uh-huh.
he had an
Yeah.
incident where and he posted on it. I'm not telling anything that's inappropriate to
Mhm.
tell. Um, and I do believe part of that was the lack of rest. Marc be on night school and we be in night school like, dude, go to bed. You look tired. But we're
Yeah.
hard-headed is what I'm saying. So we, as the ones who know better, need to demonstrate that we know the importance of giving 7 to 8 hours of sleep. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So we can
Yeah.
heal.
It's a learned, like everything else, it's learned behavior, and we have to train ourselves and teach ourselves and give ourselves permission.
Yes.
And having conversations like this and people joining in and tapping into, like, understanding that there's little tiny ways that you can give yourself permission to rest. It doesn't have to be a full day either.
Right.
And so I understand people have lives, they have things, they want to get in there and do the community work and the social justice where I don't have time for this, but there's a way to tap in on a daily basis to, again, if you think about creativity, it's a great drive for that. Like, you can tap in just by listening to music. You can tap in by doing like little meditative sketches. You could tap in by just in visualizing like different colors in your, in your head as you're thinking about your mood. Think about what color reflects that mood. So there's lots of ways to use creativity in a way that doesn't feel like it's so time consuming,
Right.
but it still kind of falls into this space of re-energizing you, right?
I love it. I
So
love it.
yeah,
And so I'm glad for your affirmation. Someone who has been just doing this work so powerfully and helping people to heal. So I really, really thank you. We got to figure out a way
you're
for you to come
welcome.
back. Maybe when you come back, I'll have another of your paintings on the wall, as well.
Love it. I would come back anytime. I really love, speaking joy, speaking about Black joy, speaking
Yes.
about art and creativity. So anytime you want me back,
But don't
April,
you
I'd
have
say.
something? Do you have something coming up? What you're exhibiting somewhere? Yes.
So, right now, I am in the Black Creativity 2025 exhibition, which is at the Griffin Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago, Illinois.
And is that
That
on your website? Is that
that is
information?
on my website, and you can, check out their website. It's up until the end of this month. So,
Being
if you're in
April
Chicago, you
2025.
should definitely go check it out soon. Other upcoming exhibitions will be noted on my website. I'm still kind of in the negotiation process for those things, as well as I host workshops at my studio, and those will be posted on my website as well. So if you're interested in coming and tapping into your creativity, you can come into my studio and spend like a half of a day on a Saturday. I host workshops at least once a month, and I would love to have people join me. Yeah.
And that's in Brooklyn, New York. Now let
It's
me
in
ask
Brooklyn, New York. I'm located in the Brooklyn Navy Yard.
yes.
And so all of that information, when you go onto my website and you look for events, they'll be posted onto the website.
Now this is unscripted, but are any of yours virtual? Because we have a global audience here. Are
I
any of yours
know.
virtual?
So I'm working at have hosting virtual workshops as well. I do a lot of virtual workshops, but for usually like social service and nonprofit agencies,
Mhm.
teaching them how to use creativity as a tool. But I also want to, like, have that available for like your viewers and things like that. So again, this is a whole process for me, learning how to add more opportunities for people to tap into their creativity as a part of me developing that business end of it.
Yes,
And I'm working on it, as well as trying to, pull out more paintings,
I
as well
understand.
as practicing social work. So
I've been
it's
to
a
your
whole process.
studio. Yeah, I've been to your studio. All that, artwork and everything that you're working on is amazing. Let's put our website up one more time because your website, Art by Stacy Billups is also your Instagram, right? So people
Yes,
can DM you, or I think your
yes,
email address is on your website, so they can
yes.
follow
And
you
it's
that way.
all art by Stacy Billups, to keep it simple for people.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's Stacy
yeah,
with the E, folks. If you are listening and not watching, that's Stacy with an E.
yep. And it's
So
Billups, Billups.
absolutely. Stacy, we love you. We thank you so much for all that you're
Thank
doing
you,
to help us.
April.
Yeah,
Thank
to
you
help
for
us to
having me on Ascending. It's been beautiful. I love what Marc Lamont Hill Official is doing with this
Yes.
program. You know, the programming is wonderful. I was able to go back and look at other interviews and just, I was floored. It's beautiful. So thank you.
I
I'm
actually
honored.
love you for that. Thank you. Well, we'll have
Yeah.
you back, right? Because this
Okay.
live, we got to keep going. So we thank you so much, Stacy. It's hard to say goodbye, but we're going to switch over to our next. Want
Okay.
everybody please go to Art by Stacy Billups and check out the website, check out the her Instagram as well. And her email is there. You can email her and get the information. And if you're able, if you're so inspired by something that you see, buy a painting. You can't have this one. You can have a print. You can have a print, but you can't have purple. But buy a painting, buy a print. They're reasonably priced. So, on that note, we're going to keep the theme going. We have a new section that we're probably going to do on a regular basis, where I just bring up people for like 5 minutes to talk about things that are going on. And I want to welcome to the stage someone I've been a fan of his music for some time. Let's welcome to the stage, if we are ready to do so. I think we are. There we are, Tyrone Burquette.
Good
How are
morning.
you, my
Good
friend?
morning. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show today, April. Thank you.
It is my pleasure. The reason I'm attracted to your work and what you do, one, you show up for people. You've been a major um, uh, supporter, if you will, of Aquila Work Songs, and I'm appreciative of that. And your music is purposeful. Your music is creative. It is important music. I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and your music, and then the event that is coming up. And because you, by saying so, you will immediately let people know why you fit so seamlessly in this topic about the power of art and healing in this hour of chaos. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Tyrone Burkett. I'm a saxophonist, composer, also a speaker, guest lecturer. And what I do is what I call postmodern spirituals. And what I do with that is I update, revive, reimagine Negro spirituals, namely freedom songs, to be able to bring them into a contemporary context to really give us that energy. What was needed at that time in terms of oppression, the enslaved, and their experiences, I wanted to take that and bring that into the time that we're in now to deal with what we have to deal with at this present time, especially at this time, this moment that we're in today.
What is it about the way that you approach jazz music, the way that you approach the black church, music from the black church? What is it about those, or any form for that matter? What is it about it that makes it healing from your point of view?
Well, I started playing in church and in a Pentecostal church, to be exact. And
Okay.
in the Pentecostal church, like I said, that's like one of the last vestiges of African culture in terms of how the worship is done. And what really got me is that I would play what I heard, and you would hear the mothers moaning and praying, and then I heard John Coltrane's "A Love Supreme," and I said, "Wow, I'm playing." Of course, not the same thing he's playing, but
Right.
I'm playing in that same, you can see the continuum between what I was doing and how that carried into what, in terms of what he was doing and how that carried into what I was doing. And this was something that was purely unintentional. So when I started hearing that and putting that together, and I was already studying jazz, but I had not heard him yet. And I said, wow, this sounds, this is really, it was something that was natural, as if, we tend to put things into the sacred box and into the secular box. And to me, it was all, I mean, as we know now, it was all African, all descended from Africa. And I saw that the healing that people had just by being and moaning and, and praying and whatnot, and how they would be energized after a while. They would have like all night prayer. And then people would come out of their situation, out of their material situations, and they would have joy. And I said, well, I want to do that. So when I heard Coltrane, I got the same feeling from his music. So that kind of set me up from that point. And I was maybe, 13, 14. And that
13
set
years
me up
old?
from there.
Wow. You start. I love it. I love it.
So that's it.
No, I was just going to say, I don't know if people really, unless you've been in that type of church environment or just something similar, it might not be a spiritual or religious environment, but and Nana Camille, shout out to Nana Camille Yarborough.
Yes.
She talks about the power of moaning, right? That the power and it's the sound, but it's the vibration in the body. And I know there's a deeper level that I don't have the words to explain. I cannot. Milford Greaves. Oh man, there's a musician. I saw a documentary. I'm gonna have to put this on a resource page when it comes up. But there's something in our physical body. I don't know if it's a nerve or something that gets activated with certain sounds and moaning and it's a release. So to your point about people can get that release happening from the music and the moaning, and then they could just be refreshed to start another day is a real thing. Can you speak to that even more?
Yeah, I think it's the vagus nerve.
Yes.
Yeah, right. And when
Yes.
you moan at the frequency that corresponds to your particular body, then that gives you it has a healing effect. And I mean, we know that, in terms of, like, you were talking to Stacy, which was great. I loved the interview. As you were talking to Stacy, that's something that we have inside of us, I believe that's really ancestral. It's not something that is just, was made up or we learned scientifically, but that's something that we knew about all the time. And when the mothers did that and when we did that, it was something instinctively that they knew that if I am singing and moaning inside of myself, we're talking about sanctuary, interior, that when I'm doing that, that is bringing something up to me that I can then use to sit in, that will give me peace, that will give me space, that will give me power. And it was just because I would just hear the mother, and it would just be mad. I would just like, oh my gosh.
Start floating away.
Yeah. And then you hear Coltrane, John Coltrane, the great saxophonist, doing Psalm, especially even the whole piece of Love Supreme. You just hearing that all through. And you're like, oh my gosh. And that just grabs you. And I know that from somewhere.
That's the part, Tyrone. And I gotta shout out not just Nana Camille Yarbrough, but also Sonia Sanchez, but also more immediate for me, Chief Baba Neil Clark and Chief Ayanda Clark, right? Because that's family, right? That the Clark family is family. And I started to learn more about the spirituality of music. And that's how, and I know I messed up the elder's name. He passed. Milford, I think is the first name, but I started getting deeper into the Africanness of all of our music, the spirituality, what it does to our body, how it heals, how it has a certain language. And I'm still a baby in that, but I needed to shout out these master percussionists who speak to what you're talking about and your point about it being ancestral. Your part about where you alluded to this, it's a language that we have, and words need not be spoken.
Right.
When the mothers start.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I thank you for embracing it and pulling it forth. It's my honor to talk to you because you are carrying it forward. I would like you, in the last 2 minutes that we have or so, if you could tell people what you got going on April 22nd. Give us a little bit of information about that event. It's a real live in-person event, please.
Yes. Yeah, on April 22nd, what we're doing at the Jazz Gallery at 1160 Broadway is Sonic Sanctuary 2. And we did it, the last time we did it, one, was during the first evil administration, first evil regime. And what I saw is that people needed a place to go to be able to hear music and talk again, what we're talking about in terms of frequency and what we're talking about healing. People need some place to go where they can actually sit and hear and be able to share in that energy that was going back and forth. People needed to be revived. They needed to be refreshed. They needed hope. They needed strength. And I felt compelled. I said, we have to do this again. And it's not going to be the only event, but, you know, we wanted to put that into place to be able to have that to offer to people as a gift to come in. So that's April 22nd, and that's at the Jazz Gallery, which is 1160 Broadway in New York. It's only $20 because it has been funded, but it's, you know, it's only $20 that you can come in, have a seat. It will be videotaped and will be audio because we want to keep it and be able to have it, you know, go where that event cannot go. So,
and we know the tickets are on Eventbrite, so we're going to ask people to search your name. That's the correct spelling. There we go. So, but you can search Eventbrite. Just type in Tyrone Burquette. It's
right.
pronounced Burquette. The event is there on Eventbrite. If you are in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Philadelphia, you can get to New York. You have time because it's the 22nd of April.
Yes.
And this is your Sonic Sanctuary Part 2, and there will be others. Yes?
Definitely. And that's at 7:00. I don't know if
7 o'clock. Yes, yes. Tyrone, we thank you so much for reminding us from whence we came, reminding us about what's internal, and the power of music. We thank you so much for sharing that. And if I'm in New York on that day, I will be there for sure. For sure.
Thank you for having me, April. Thank you.
No, it's my pleasure. It's my joy. It's my honor. Thank you for all of the untold sacrifices that you have given, you know, to be the master that you are. Thank you so much. Give my love to the family.
All right. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Okay. We'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
So everybody, we're wrapping up on this final episode of not final episode. Oh my God, I didn't mean to say that. The final minutes of this episode. We're here for the comments, so I want to go straight to the comments because I said I wanted to make sure that I answer any questions or whatever. I don't know if we can put up the Aquila Work Songs website. Yes, I'm here for the comments, but let's put up the website because I want you all to be the first to know when the resource page is done. I want to be able to stay connected with you all. So shout out to Bullet the Bunny is always there making everything happen and reminding people. If you haven't hit that like button, please do so. Shout out to Mo and Rolando. Love it, love it, love it. Tim, what's up? Timothy Jones. I'm searching for questions. I am so excited to connect with a few music therapists at Howard University doing a workshop today about the therapy of writing a rhyme. Timothy Jones is a master freestyle artist. Thank you, Rolando, for putting up the book, The Prophet. Oh, you've not read it. Oh my gosh, you're so going to love it. For those who didn't see in the beginning, The Prophet by Khalil Gibran is definitely, shout out to Leah. Happy birthday, Leah. Mo is here. Sandy, welcome. Mind Over Matter. We got some new people. Bunnies and Ouija's are gods. I just subscribed and found you ladies in Atlanta. My eyes are so very happy seeing that painting behind the lady on the right. Yep, that's me. So definitely Bunnies and Ouija's are gods. These are some unique titles. Is Jenny B here? Jenny B, I need to remind you all, Jenny B is not my mother, not the one that shows up every week. But Jenny B Silver is my mother, but I don't think Jenny came through today. I'm just scrolling, making sure that everybody gets the love and you feel the love. So everybody, thanks for commenting. That they matter. We read all of the comments and the questions. We'll be doing that more to make sure that I get to the questions. I think I did. Drake and Kevin, did I get to the main questions? I think I did. I want to remind you. Okay, good. Everybody, Saturdays at 11 a.m. We've been doing this since January 25th. Go back to the playlist and look at all those videos. We got Mayor Raz Baraka. We had the Black Rock Coalition. We did the one on adoption, Sandy Caesar. That was a tearjerker for a lot of people. One of the most talked about. Chief Ayanda Clark. Just so many discussions. If you like this one, you'll love the other ones. So on that note, family, thank you for watching. We will see you next Saturday. We're going to be talking about Black Maternal Health Week with Dr. Danette Bean. So next Saturday is the second day of Black Maternal Health Week. She's going to come and drop some science for real. So definitely tune in next Saturday, which is the 12th, I think. And we'll be here at 11 a.m. Eastern. Tell your people, stay up.